Yo, we got a special episode for today. We're on episode 26.
26, yep.
And we got our special guest with us. How you doing, Chosy? How's everything going?
Oh man, what a pleasure to be here, guys.
Yo, man, thanks for
Glad
hanging
to
out
have
with
you.
us today,
Yes.
man.
Yes, for sure. Egg, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How you doing? Jay?
I'm chilling. Can't complain. But like we said before, we got a special episode this week. We're gonna continue off begin with an interview with our friend over here, Chosy. He's a comic collector. He's collected over 3,000 comic books.
Which is an insane amount to think about, man. I'm not gonna lie. Like when you told me that, I got excited. You know what I mean? Like it's something that like tripped me out to hear 3,000 of anything. You know?
Yeah.
Especially comics. You know, like it's
I honestly like
the
I
information
didn't
in your
expect
head has
that.
got to be like insane when it comes to stories and stuff.
When he I thought the same thing you did earlier when he told me that he had 3,000 comics. I thought it was a typo. I expected like 300, but then I was like 3,000. Okay, get it, Chosy.
Yeah,
But
it used to be a terrible obsession.
It doesn't sound terrible to me.
Now it's a much more reasonable obsession, I guess.
yeah. But this has
Is it more DC or Marvel, or is it a good mix of both?
Oh, it's a mix of all kinds of things.
Oh, really?
that's
Okay.
awesome.
I couldn't even, yeah. And the crazy part about it, so I collected comics as a kid, my older brother and I had a really like ridiculous collection. And I gave them to my younger brother when I moved to New York, and he sold them.
No,
He didn't know, and then he sold them well under value of what they were. So then I decided, you know what, I'm going to start again. And the 3,000 comics that I currently have, I think I bought in a span of maybe a year and a half, maybe 2 years.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's why I said it was a terrible obsession, because I got to, I was like, oh, I'm going to rebuild this. And I think I single-handedly funded the comic shop by my house for at least 2 years.
Let me ask you this quick question, your first interview question. What got you into
Yes, sir.
collecting? What made you want to collect comics?
And that's a great question. So what was a big publication? I know it's still around, but was much bigger when I was a kid. Was Wizard. So that was you would get that guide. It would break down the prices of what your comics were worth. So I don't know. Somehow my brother got a copy. We had no comics at the time, and he got a copy, and we would just look through it and like, oh, this is really cool. And so then we go to the store, and at this time comics were probably under $1. I think the most I ever paid for a comic back then was $1.25.
Wow.
Like that was the most I think I paid back then,
It's
and
like triple
it was
that
really
now,
a
right?
big.
Yeah, I pay like
Oh,
$5
yes.
per book.
Yeah.
Sometimes more, depending the book.
And this is when X-Men's going through its revival, right? So, this is also the time Image comes out. So Image is now starting to come out, and Rob Liefeld, he's moved over to Image, and Todd McFarlane with Spawn, and so it was kind of a renaissance. Although the market kind of got flooded, which I won't get into. But this was the time when you got the really cool covers, right? You had the holographic covers on almost every Marvel comic. So it was a really cool time. They were just neat, and the stories just captured. It gave me. I grew up in Tennessee, and was big on nature, and I love nature. But there wasn't a lot else going on. I grew up across from a farm. It was just a couple of cows and a mule, and having comics, they kind of opened up a whole new world. Kind of a place you could escape that was different from where I lived. So that's kind of a long answer to a short question.
That's
That's
pretty
awesome.
cool. That interesting. It sounds like you've traveled from Tennessee to New York. We're in Florida,
Ohio, Florida, yeah.
Ohio too.
I was born in Ohio. We moved down to Tennessee when I was 4. We lived there till I was almost 16, and we moved back to Ohio, and then I moved to Georgia for school, and then back to Ohio, and then to New York, and then from New York to Florida. I've been in Florida ever since.
Nice, yeah.
That's crazy. That's a lot of traveling.
Hey, if you would have stood in Ohio, I would have never met you, and we would have been doing this right now.
I know.
Yeah, so this is awesome.
It depends on how you look at it.
From
I'm just
my
kidding.
my viewpoint, it's awesome. Maybe not for you.
I'm just kidding, Johnson. I love you, man.
I love you too, bro.
Yo, just how he gets messed on a lot
Everywhere.
during the podcast.
Everywhere. I get it from every
I mess
angle.
with him too.
Oh man.
Egg, I know you told me you had a really good question for him.
Oh yeah, I did, man. I had a couple questions. I had 3 questions, right?
Yeah. All right.
So my first one was, so since you read, obviously you know your stuff. So one of the things I wanted to ask you was, I was really curious about was, when you watch a movie like based on a comic book, do you or are inspired, I guess, by a comic book? You know what I mean? Whether it's a DC, Marvel, or other. When you start watching the movie, even if they haven't like disclosed what the plot is about, do you pick up on the plot because of your knowledge of the comic? Like, do you like start watching a movie and be like, oh, like I already see where they're going with this? Like, how often, if that's happened, does that happen to you?
All the time.
Oh, really?
I don't think I've ever seen a Marvel movie where I didn't know probably how it was going to work out. Knowing the story, but then just kind of seeing the direction that Marvel would take it. Which, in my opinion, Marvel makes the best superhero movies. I believe. I think that's probably factual.
Yeah, I agree.
It's kind of factual, just over a span, and that's not taking anything away from DC, but unfortunately they've made some errors,
Very
poor
decision.
Like Wonder Woman 2.
Oh wow, wasn't that terrible?
Oh my, it was pretty bad. I can't even lie. And I wanted so bad to like
it. I don't even pay for HBO Max, and I wanted to get a refund. And I don't even pay for it. I get it through and it's really hard to make Gal Gadot in a terrible movie, and they did it. So in a sense, they accomplished something.
It was impressive. It was an impressive feat by them.
It was impressive. Oh man. So yeah, so in that sense, there's not very often movies that surprise me. I will say, if I had to say, Winter Soldier, that was a movie that blew my mind. I mean, I love the fact that it was superheroes, but that it was something that actually could happen. That whole spy element I thought was amazing. That I didn't see coming. I love how they, got the Winter Soldier involved. And then on the DC side, a lot of the Batman movies, I mean, even kind of starting with Michael Keaton, who I'm going to say, shameless plug, my favorite Batman. It was the first, my favorite Batman, just because that's what I grew up with.
I think we had this conversation about that too. Like me and you were going back and forth about it.
There's something about Michael Keaton. He's and it doesn't take anything away from Christian Bale. Yeah. But I honestly feel that
who's my favorite?
The characters that he fought were better than the Batman. So
Joker.
Ra's al Ghul, obviously the Joker, Heath Ledger, he was amazing. And then even Bane.
Yeah.
With how I felt I'm going to get on this range of topics. Sorry, I'm kind of going off.
No. Talk, man. This is like super interesting to me, man.
So I felt like in the Nolan series that definitely the villains were better than the Batman, and that wasn't taking anything from the Batman, but I just thought the whole voice thing was ridiculous to me.
I don't know. Everybody says that. That never bothered me.
That never bothered me neither. It didn't bother me neither.
He's like, fear me. It just sounded like he was like really.
I was terrified, man.
He just had to.
This man said really constipated.
Yeah,
the suit was on too tight.
I just think he wasn't where I think Keaton shined. He was a good Bruce Wayne and a good Batman, and I think that's the hard part. Where I thought Ben Affleck was probably the best Bruce Wayne, but maybe not the best Batman. Where Bell was a great Batman, but was terrible Bruce Wayne. Okay. So I'm interested to see what Patterson does if he can kind of merge that. And I think Keaton, I mean Burton, Burton's got his own vision. He's kind of out there, and I think if he had some, not that you want to take anything away from Nicholson because he was a great Joker, just a little bit more campy, but pretty psychotic. If you really take away the joking part of it, what he did with spraying people is pretty funny. But
he was a menace. He was a menace.
So those were the it was always hard to tell with the DC movies. That's something I do enjoy because you think logically this is where it should go, and then there's those times where it doesn't go there. And you're like, oh, that's great. but then the majority of the time, it doesn't go there, and you're like, those are the worst movies I've seen in a long time. So I'm in the middle of watching Aquaman. I've never seen it before.
Really?
So I'm in the middle of watching it, and I just there's just so much cheesiness in it.
It is pretty cheesy.
Yeah.
It's just, oh,
Yeah.
I
It wasn't
just-
terrible. I'd say it wasn't terrible. Like how DC lately has just been a letdown all around.
No, because after Aquaman, we got Shazam, and I liked Shazam.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty good. And then what else came around that time? I think Wonder Woman came out. The first one
The
came
Wonder
out
Woman
around
was
that time, so
was
that was
good.
good.
I didn't care for the
You
Wonder
know,
Woman the first
and
one.
then and I always have this argument with everybody, and I'll argue this until the day that I die. I think Batman vs Superman, the Ultimate Edition, with all the all the scenes cut out. I think that's a much more better fleshed out movie, and that's one of my favorite superhero movies to watch. I don't know if you've ever watched the Ultimate Edition, but it goes into depth. It kind of it does a lot. Until this is just out of the time. It does a lot to explain why Bruce was so mad with Superman. Because if you watch the theatrical version, you don't what I mean. It just looks like he just like makes like this jump. Like he goes like 0 to 100, and he gets upset.
Right.
And when you watch what I guess what Zack Snyder would have liked to put out, when you watch that, you're like, man, like this is not this. I understand this now. I really get why he felt the way that he felt and how they got to that point. So I personally love that movie. That's just me.
I haven't seen that version. I have to watch it. I mean, none of them are as bad as the Star Wars movies, so at least DC has that.
We can argue about that too, man.
Oh, I'm not arguing. I'm just giving what some might call facts.
Facts.
I'm just kidding.
No,
I would love to
Those
see
three
this
were
argument.
Those three were terrible, though.
Listen, I really and I know I'm gonna get crucified for this. I really enjoyed The Last Jedi on the second watch through, not the first one. The first time I watched it, I was disappointed because I had this image of my mind of what I thought Luke Skywalker was gonna be, and then when I didn't get that, I was disappointed in that. But when I watched it a second time, I was like, I kind of understood what I guess what they were where they were trying to go. The only thing that still bothers me about that movie to this day, because it's not a perfect movie, is what they did with Finn was terrible. And I think that what they did with Finn, like I feel like in the first movie, like he had such promise to me. Like I was so excited about Finn as a character, and then in movie 2 and 3, they just killed him. They just killed it. It was terrible.
There's just so many unexplained things. I think that's what kind of irritated me.
Yeah.
Like, oh wait, the Emperor's been he all of a sudden just broadcast the message. Like, what, really? Like, what's he doing this whole time? He wasn't doing anything important. And then Snoke. I mean, Snoke could have been one of the best characters. You had this. Josiah just got up. Apparently, he's just.
No, he has his headphones on still, but he had to let the dog out.
I'm sorry about that.
He was getting some tacos. If you don't know, everyone, Josiah's favorite food is tacos.
No, it's
so
not.
if you want, just send him tacos.
No,
Yeah,
don't do
hard
not
shell,
do any of that.
Every fan, send him some tacos.
No.
Super dry.
And then what they did with Snoke, it was just I just don't understand. But that I totally got off topic.
I agree with that too.
Yeah, but Snoke would have been an amazing character of just someone other than the Emperor, maybe someone even more powerful. This guy that's been behind the scenes and
Can I say hi?
chilling, and now he's come out, and it would have been great.
Can I say hi?
And then I just don't understand making Ben
Hey,
and
Mom. Hey, Papa. Can I
falling in love with each other and kissing. It's just weird. It just
that was
didn't need
odd
to happen.
too. That was really odd.
It didn't need to happen.
I felt
'Cause I thought Adam
uncomfortable in the
Driver
theater.
I loved Adam Driver, and I thought he was. He's one of my favorite actors, so I loved what he.
That's
Oh, that's
okay,
awesome.
man. He's
I
so
know
cool.
he's a superhero fan as well, so it's good
He
to
is,
have
he
two
likes to
special
say
guests.
Wakanda forever all the time.
So let me ask you, out of
Yes.
your entire collection, it can even not be part of your collection, but it's something that you probably read before. What is your favorite comic book? Like if you had to,
goodness.
or series,
story.
series.
Oh man, that's such a massive question. I don't even know if I could narrow it down to one, to be honest with you. But
So
all right,
give us
here we
top three
go.
then.
Let's try it.
Top three.
don't even know if I can do top three. Okay, let's see. If I was to go with DC, I'm a big Flash fan. I love the Flash, but I'm a Barry Allen fan specifically.
Okay.
So when he came back, um, I think it was Jones that wrote it. That whole storyline with the Black Flash and all that, I love that just because he was just always my favorite Flash. So that storyline and what that led to. For Marvel, man, that's tough. Okay, what I probably enjoyed the most, which is weird. So Sword, I enjoy Sword. I like a lot of the space things that happen in Marvel, that whole universe, Annihilation, things like that. But I enjoyed the Sword series, and then there was one that they did Shield, but it was actually the beginning of Shield. So it went all the way back, like in the time of Leonardo DiCaprio, Leonardo da Vinci. Goodness gracious, that was just super interesting to me. And so I love that storyline. When the Red Hawk came out, that whole mystery, who's the Red Hawk, was great. But I think when Chris Claremont took over the X-Men in the early '90s, the direction he took it in is probably my favorite series of all time. He just made such an impact and brought where the X-Men were popular in a sense, but not nearly the popularity they have now. And a lot of that was him, just how he brought them back. So I would say overall for Marvel, that's probably my favorite storyline. And I'm going to say this now, and I might get crucified. I can't stand the Fantastic Four. I don't like anything about them. I don't like any comic that's ever been written. Anything. I don't like the Fantastic Four. And when Johnny died, it's one of my favorite comics, just because he died.
That's
It's just terrible. I don't even know how they're. There's nothing interesting about them.
I agree too. I agree with that as well. I'm not a fan of the Fantastic Four as well.
And I think that like what you said, there's weight to that because none of the movies have been great, right? We've gotten 3 movies and all the movies suck.
So bad.
Yeah. So you said that about X-Men. So this was not a question I had, but now you mentioned it. I actually like X-Men a lot too. Just Ty's not the biggest X-Men fan, but what do you think of the movies like as a whole? Like, do you think that they've hit the mark more than they missed, or is there one?
They definitely hit the mark more than they missed. The First Class movies I thought were great. Just
even Apocalypse.
Okay, so I'm going to say this about Apocalypse.
Okay, I like it, man.
My oldest brother is notorious for only watching 15. If he likes a movie, he'll watch the last 15 minutes, like over and over again, like constantly. And he loves that movie, but he loves the last 15 minutes. And so I've seen it whenever we go on vacation and we're with him. He plays it over and over, so much so that became one of my favorite movies because I've just seen it so many times. The last 15 minutes. Now, I could tell you what happens in the last 15 minutes. I can't remember what happens before that, but those last 15 minutes.
Last 15 minutes are great. I like that
and
movie
how
a
that
lot
led
too.
up to. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. I was just saying that I like that movie a lot too.
Yeah. So, and I like the first X-Men that came out. I wasn't too big on the third one with Jean Grey, how they did the whole Phoenix with the original series. I like how they did it, with the Young X-Men series, First Class, much better. So yeah, I would say, and then I didn't see Logan because I heard he died and I didn't want to see him die, so I haven't seen that. But I like the Wolverine, and yeah, I think they did pretty good overall for the X-Men movies. I mean, I don't think there's one I wouldn't watch. I may make fun of it while I'm watching it, but I would definitely. There's none of them I'd be like, oh, this is Tobey Maguire as Venom or Black Spider-Man, whatever you want to call him, dancing down the street.
Bringing that up. So who's your favorite Spider-Man? Out of curiosity, we got the new Spider-Man movie coming out.
I heard Tobey Maguire slander. I'm already hurt, man. I don't know what to do.
So who
Oh,
would
the
you?
best Spider-Man?
Yeah,
Oh,
in
by
your
far,
opinion.
it's Tom Holland. It's Holland. I mean, by far, it's not even
I love
close.
Chris.
It's
Chris is
not
my
even
boy.
it's not even a contest. It's just not.
Thank you.
He is such a big upgrade. Okay, can we
No,
all
I
agree Andrew Garfield is the worst? So we can
Yeah,
get
yeah,
that out of
yeah,
the way, right? Andrew
yeah.
Garfield is terrible. And
he wasn't.
Maguire, the first episode, the first movie, fantastic. He was like fantastic. That was a really good movie. And then it just kind of,
He
and then
stopped a
that third,
train with his hands and webs. That's a great. That's one of the greatest superhero scenes of all time.
He's a
Yeah, but
big Maguire fan.
I mean that is cool. But didn't Holland like put a ship back together? Like a whole ship?
I remember Iron Man putting his shit back together.
Oh, that's right. Iron Man did help him with that.
Hey, but did Tobey Maguire
Yeah,
go
still
into
did.
space?
What?
Did Tobey Maguire fight Thanos and
Yeah.
went into space? I didn't think so.
I
Did
remember.
Tobey Maguire? Did Tobey Maguire, or did he not walk down the street doing this and dancing?
with his
wearing
with
a
his
black
hair
suit.
slicked.
he did.
And that
And he
in
looks
itself
stylish.
just it takes him out of the picture. I mean, you can't get past that. I mean,
I agree with you, Chris. You know what?
That's the
I like
problem.
your thought
if
process.
that movie was never made, I would say, okay, we could probably go Maguire, but
Holland.
Holland hasn't made a bad movie, and he's been in, you know,
6.
Far,
he's
far
been
from,
in,
no,
He's
far
been
from
Civil War, Far From Home, No Way,
Homecoming,
Homecoming,
Homecoming.
Infinity War, and
Endgame.
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 So 5. So
He's
this
in
one will be
5.
6.
Far from
And
Home
I
wasn't
can't
that great.
name, and none of those 5 movies are bad
Far from Home wasn't
that
great.
I can say.
Far From Home was amazing. What's your thoughts on Far From Home? Because we have this debate about it.
It was cool, I guess. It wasn't
See?
bad. It was not by far my favorite.
I really.
I didn't think
I
Jake
rest my case.
Gyllenhaal was that great as Mysterio. Because
I like that movie. I
Jake
genuinely, I
Gyllenhaal.
think it's up there for one of my favorites. But that's just me. But I'm a big Tom Holland fan, as Egg knows and as everyone knows, the better Spider-Man.
It's Toby.
So
The whole country thinks.
let me ask you, out of all the comic book universes, what would you have to throw in and say, you know what, this is my favorite universe?
man,
This guy's just legs putting you on the
that's
spot.
really tough, man. That's a big. I don't know. I mean, that's really a big question. The problem is there's so many one-offs that are so good. You know,
I agree.
What is that called? Oh man, is it Irredeemable? There was a comic book called Irredeemable, which was essentially. I don't know if you've seen and read Invincible.
I haven't seen it, but I read it. I haven't read it, but I've watched it.
Okay, so Irredeemable was essentially this guy. He's Superman, right? Like essentially Superman, as powerful. And one day he just goes bad, and literally just takes it out on the entire Earth, and there's no one that can stop him. Essentially, no one can stop him.
There's
Like
no
everyone
Batman
who
in that
tries to
universe.
stop him just gets absolutely destroyed. And it had another comic which was essentially his biggest enemy was going up against him, but he was becoming a good guy, and I don't remember the name. I know it was Irredeemable and Incorruptible. So Incorruptible, and basically this guy's power was the longer he stayed awake, his skin became like this impenetrable material. So he would just have to stay awake. So you have these two journeys. You have this Superman guy who essentially turns into like the worst person. He's too powerful, no one can stop him. And then you have this guy who's been a bad guy for all these years, and he's trying to stop him, even though he's not nearly as powerful. And the cool thing about it is essentially when this all ends, right, this story gets passed down, and eventually it ends up with the creator of Superman. and he turns it into a comic about Superman. So it was a really interesting play.
I didn't know
And
that.
I would
Yeah,
recommend
same.
reading it. Now I read it a long time
I'm,
ago.
I'm gonna.
How appropriate it is, I don't recall, but let's throw that out there.
we'll put it on the list. Something to definitely check out.
Sounds really, really interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is. It's really really good. So like that's what I'm saying. There's these one-offs
yeah,
of these series that are just you kind of get sucked into this whole new world
Yeah.
of things that you've thought like, man, what if Superman did turn bad? Like, who's honestly going to stop him in the DC universe? You know,
Batman.
and then, well, I mean, Batman tried in Red Sun, but it didn't work out very well for him. If I recall, he did not
But-
make it through that.
But it's
very
Batman. But it's Batman.
Well. He had been Batman, but he just,
It's Batman.
I mean, that's great
Well,
that it's Batman.
when Superman is serious, I mean, there's nobody that
It's just
really
not- yeah.
But Batman.
no, I don't know about that. Just
Okay, continue. Sorry.
I mean, I understand that you're saying Batman a lot, but it doesn't make it true.
yeah. Are you okay, just
Man versus Kryptonian. Like Batman put in his shift. That's all I gotta say.
Oh no, I'm not saying that Batman wouldn't do a good job because he's so smart. He would have a contingency plan. The problem is, the contingency plan would probably, at some point,
You
you know. Remember the Hawk? The Hawk used to be all powerful, which he isn't anymore. But remember, no matter how much you beat on him, he just got stronger and stronger.
Yeah.
You know, technically, when they did that mashup, I don't know if you guys remember the mashup between DC and Marvel. They did a mashup.
Yeah,
I've heard of
And,
that. I haven't checked it out.
It's old. It's old.
Yeah.
It's old, yeah.
It's like two brothers, right?
They fought each other. Yeah, so there was basically the two. One was in charge of the DC universe, one the
Mhm.
Marvel. You know, they were the power. They were everything behind it. So they decided who's going to win. So they did these matchups. They also did like where they took characters. I think Wolverine and Batman. They made into
Yeah, I
like
remember
one
that.
person and stuff like that. So yeah. I think Superman fought the Hawk, and somehow he beat him. Which you can't have Superman lose. It's just not at that time part of what DC would do.
Hey.
But I think honestly, the more he hit him, technically the Hawk would have got stronger and stronger, and would have at some point, you know.
Yeah. I mean,
But,
And the Hulk has a crazy regenerative factor too. You know, like
Yes.
he just
all I'm saying is
it's almost instant.
David took down Goliath with a rock. Batman can do the same.
Oh, you're still on Batman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's still on Batman.
So is Batman your favorite character?
Batman
or-
is my favorite character.
I thought it was Spider-Man.
Batman is my favorite DC character. Spider-Man is my favorite Marvel. But if I had to like pick one or the other, I think I will fully pick Batman over Spider-Man.
But he's sitting on a Spider-Man chair, so
But I have
Yeah,
like
that's why I was
more.
asking. You got a Batman thing there.
I have a lot more Batman stuff.
We got
Oh, wow.
Shazam. What do we got? The Hulk.
I had another Batman
that in
picture
the-
there, but it fell. And this is.
I know you have a Black Panther
yeah.
Cincy thing or something.
Yeah. And I
What's
got a
what's
couple.
in the picture next to the Hulk?
Picture next to the Hulk is Thanos, all the villains on one side, and then the heroes on the other, and they're all just fighting. So it's a picture that connects. So like if they're put together, it makes like one big picture. But
I didn't notice that. I'll
Yeah.
be honest.
Yeah.
how many
Now-
times you been here too? That's
I
crazy.
know. I just never looked at it like that.
So
yeah, so I don't know what would be. Oh man, that's a really good question. Again, I do like a lot of the stuff that happens in space in Marvel. You know, it's just very interesting characters up there. But not that the things that happen on Earth aren't cool, but man, you got some crazy people up there in space that are doing
let
damage. So go ahead.
I'm curious about your opinion on this. So you said you're a big Flash fan and everything. Did you watch the Flash show?
I did not.
Okay.
I did not.
Okay. So I was gonna ask you how did between the comics of the Flash and the show because I know that show right now is still going somehow. It has gotten garbage.
I have heard that it was good.
It started off good.
I I just didn't watch it because um, I don't know. It didn't appeal to me as
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
I
just
mean,
for some reason it didn't.
it
Appeal to
started
me.
off good, but then it started falling off. But I think most shows lately have been falling off.
Yeah.
What about favorite superhero and villain? Like, it can be at any universe. It doesn't matter. Or you can have multiple favorite superheroes and villains. But I'm just curious, what type of villain are you like and hero?
Oh man, that's a good question. That's a really good question. Who's my favorite villain? Hmm. Man, oh, that's a great question, Josiah. You may have actually stumped me for a second on this one.
Oh
Oh,
wow.
Man, who's my favorite villain?
We can
Hmm.
give you some time to think over the villains and the heroes. How about you, Egg? How about you? Because this is
Yeah,
your
yeah,
first time meeting
yeah,
Chris
I
and
did.
stuff.
I had another question. So is
yeah.
there any particular scene in a superhero or comic book based movie that you saw that you thought to yourself, wow, I could see that happening. I could see that, or maybe they ripped that out of a comic, or I could see that like being inspired by something that happened in the comic, or you can see that scene in a comic. Like for example, like like for me, like some of the big scenes that stand out. Just to give you an example, that one thing that just kind of like blew my mind. So obviously this, so we talked about the Spider-Man with the whole train scene. I thought that was such a really cool scene. And then one of the other scenes that really kind of stands out to me sometimes, it's a Superman clip where in Superman Returns, where he's flying through the city and all the glass is breaking, and he turns and he flips on his back and he visions all of them and turns them into dust to hurt the people. I don't know that's not like such a big scene in the movie, but I thought that was like such a like comic book Superman thing. You know what I mean? To do to just fly through the city like that and just laser it. You know what I mean? So nobody gets hurt. And then there are other things too, you know, that I've seen in other movies. And I don't know well this would translate to a comic, but one of my favorite scenes in any movies is in Batman versus Superman, where at the very beginning of the movie, Bruce lands in Metropolis and he hops in the car and he's driving through the city. You know what I mean? Trying to get to Wayne Tower.
Gotcha.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That to me is like one of the coolest scenes.
Yeah.
Cause I feel like that's like such a like a Batman moment. You know what I mean? Like even though he's dealing with these aliens and he doesn't know what they're doing or what's going on, he's doing his best to get to Wayne Tower to look after his people.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. Man, that's a good question too. Well, right off the bat, probably the first scene that pops in my head is I love Nick Fury, and I love how Samuel L. Jackson plays him. So,
Yeah,
uh, when they and Winter Soldier when they came and just how he reacted, how his car, just how he was so prepared, even though he, obviously was going to get savaged, but so that whole scene because you really get to see Nick Fury. We know him as a spy and that he's always ahead of people, but to just kind of see what he does in the middle of a crisis. I thought that was really cool. And then yeah, calling back to that movie because that's probably my favorite movie of all the Marvel movies. It's just, I
wow,
love when Captain America's in the elevator with all
yeah,
the Hydra agents, and I think that's awesome. And how they go back to that in game, and he just says "Hell Hydra," and
Hail
and
Hydra, yeah,
they're all like, "Oh."
he's cool. He's
So
one of
I
us.
think those are two. Yeah, that was cool. And then Iron Man 2. Was it Iron Man? Yeah, it was Iron Man 2 with where they introduced Black Widow. I thought that was just her introduction. I thought they did so well with that. For
Yeah, they did.
a character that doesn't get a ton of play, and what she was able to accomplish, and then just kind of how they really kept her into the whole thing. My favorite Marvel character overall has always been Hawkeye, because essentially in the comics he's a jerk. He's always been a jerk, which they didn't do that in the movies. But I loved him in his time as Ronin. So when they played back to that in game, I thought that was really cool. Now I haven't seen the new series.
At all?
My wife has watched it. Yeah, so I'm the type of person I like to get enough episodes in before I start watching it because I don't like having to watch one episode and then wait a week. Like that
I
bothers me. Like,
yeah.
so I like to get 5 or 6 episodes in so then I can watch all 6 of them.
Yeah.
He's back. We're still doing it, but I'll call you in here when we're almost done. Okay? All right.
I have to
So-
agree with you on that. Like, I'm the same way. Like, I can't wait a week for an episode, but also impatient. So I've been waiting a week for certain shows.
Yeah.
Like, especially one of my all-time favorite TV shows is Young Justice, and the new season finally came out, and they've been releasing episodes every week, and it's been killing me.
Oh.
That's only once a week a
Oh.
new episode comes out.
What is that on? I haven't seen it.
It's on
Me either.
HBO Max.
HBO Max. Okay. I'll go check it out.
Yeah, it pretty much, the show started off as a Cartoon Network show. The first 2 seasons
Yeah.
was Cartoon Network, and then DC, when they created their own app, the DC Universe app, they started putting the show on there, and then HBO Max did a partnership with DC, and now HBO Max is making their own thing with it. It's good. It's more focused on like all the sidekicks, so like Kid Flash, Robin, Miss
Oh.
Martian, pretty much like that, Aqualad. So it's more focused on them than Justice League.
Now, is Nightwing already established, or is this the Robin that's going to turn into Nightwing?
It's the Robin that's gonna turn into Nightwing. So
Oh, okay. Okay, I can see
Yeah.
that. So Batman must be in it then.
yeah. So
Yes. Okay.
the original Justice League team start off in the show, and then the sidekicks make their own team. It's a really good show. It's one of my favorite show up there for me.
And that made me think of the Red Hood. That was such a good series, comic
Yes.
series, the Red Hood with Jason
I love the
Todd.
Red.
That was so
I
good.
love the Red Hood.
And Hush. Oh man, there's so many good Batman things.
And Hush, I love Hush.
I love
Hush
Hush.
was good. Long Halloween.
Yep.
Oh man, which was the? Oh, the Dark Knight Returns. Right, I mean, that's classic, right?
Have you ever read
Sorry, I
Kingdom
got on a
Come?
whole nother tangent. I have. I loved that artwork when it first came out. I thought it was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life.
I was telling Josiah about that.
Yeah.
I thought the story is pretty crazy too. You know, you have I don't know if you know, Josiah, it takes place in the future, and a lot of the heroes that we know have already kind of retired, or they're too old. They're not really doing that. So they got a bunch of new guys in there, and they just don't care the same way the old guys
Yeah,
did.
they don't
So
care.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm. Yeah,
I actually have signed copies of that series.
do you of
That's
Kingdom
actually
Come?
insane.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think I
Oh.
literally read it the other day.
Moon Knight. I think we've talked about this before. Moon
Yes.
Knight is my favorite. I know I said Hawkeye. Out of the whole Avengers series, it's Hawkeye. But my overall favorite Marvel character is Moon Knight.
Would that be your favorite superhero?
I say I don't consider him a superhero. I consider him probably an anti-hero because he's literally insane.
Yeah.
He is off his rocker. So he does some, yeah. So I consider him more of an anti-hero, yeah, I guess I'm more into the anti-hero villain part of it than I am the actual superhero part of it.
Yeah. I got you. How do you feel with? Have you seen the Moon Knight trailer? Are you looking forward to that series?
Yeah, I thought great pick, man. I think so Oscar Isaac was his name?
Who's
Yeah,
Apocalypse?
he's gonna
right?
do great. Yeah, because you've got to. I mean, this guy already has mental problems, right? So he's got mental problems, and now he gets his power. And so you got to have someone that can kind of channel that. He's already crazy, and now he's getting more crazy, but he still wants to do good, and I think it'll be interesting if they pull it off correctly. It'll be really good because he's such a complex character, probably one of the most complex. To where, I mean, even when the new series came out, probably was it 2018, 2017, maybe 2016, maybe. He, there were superheroes that didn't even want to team up with him because he's nuts. And he was dressing up. He thought he was superheroes. Like, so you're reading this series and here's Wolverine. And then you get to the end and it turns out it's Moon Knight and he's dressed up as Wolverine
Oh,
because
I
of his
didn't know that.
personality
that.
problems. Yeah, it's insane. Like the stuff that happens is insane. He's just a very flawed, but he tries to do good. And I think it kind of is what if we look at ourselves, it's kind of what we are, right? The majority of people want to do good, but we're flawed and we make mistakes, and
Yeah.
but
Moon Knight has been a character I definitely wanted to check out more. I didn't even know about him until watching a Spider-Man TV show on Disney Plus, where they brought him out, and I was like, "Who's this?" And then seeing him in the show, maybe like do more research on him and stuff, and getting to know him more, it made me want to check out a comic book series of him, just because I love his costume look, I love his attitude towards things and everything.
Yeah. All right. Well, I've got plenty if you want to read any of them. I have so many unique. I got to go through them. Like I have the artist who did the new series. He actually drew, because they started coming out with these. I don't know if they still make them, but it was a blank cover, right? You know, they have these different variants, and these were like blank, almost like cardboard stock, and different. You could go and they would draw a picture on it for you. And so my local comic shop, they actually got this guy that was drawing for Moon Knight to come in, and he drew Moon Knight on the cover of Moon Knight 1 and signed it. It's really cool.
Wow.
So, yeah, I was like, I spent way too much money. I probably could retire.
I
think we all do, right? With our hobbies, with what we enjoy.
That we
definitely we gotta soon make plans to be able to check those comic books out.
That sounds so cool though, man. To sit with the artist like that and have him just draw something like that, custom for you.
You know what? We should definitely make this a part 2 if you want to do it next week, because I want to give you guys a couple of comics of mine I think you guys would enjoy based on your. So we got to find out. I know yours is Spider-Man, so I know exactly which one I'm going to give you, Josiah. But like, who's your favorite?
Favorite. You know, I think me and Josiah are similar in the whole Batman thing, you know, and then for Marvel, you know, when I think of Marvel, it's actually crazy. I remember reading a lot of Spider-Man too, growing up. I enjoy X-Men. Actually, that's probably what I would say too. X-Men. I feel like I enjoy like a story with a lot of depth that makes you really think, you know, which I think is why I think I enjoy Kingdom Come so much. Because when you read through Kingdom Come, it takes you on such a roller coaster, you know, and the way, and I don't want to ruin anything in case you want to read it. I think one of my favorite scenes in anything that I've ever read is in Kingdom Come, you know, when and I'll say this, when Shazam shows up, or he's Captain Marvel at that point, you know, when he shows up, you know what I mean, to the whole fight, and I'm just like, yo, like that whole page, you know, I have it saved. I mean, obviously, I own the physical copy of it, but I have it saved somewhere too, because that just to me was just like, you know. I mean, you know, I gotta bring it to you, Jay. I have it at the house. I've been meaning to bring it to you.
Yeah. Comic books are amazing. I love comic books, because there's so many stories that you can be like, you know what, I can see where that character, why he acted that way, why he developed that way, and the fact that like, I think I'm a real big Batman fan because that's something that's possible. A billionaire fighting crime. Spider-Man, science. He got bitten by a genetic enhanced spider bite. So like, it's not like an alien or something like that coming down to Earth. So I do like Superman. Superman has been a character that's grow to my heart, and a lot has to do with the show Superman and Lois. But I'm a diehard Batman and Spider-Man fan. To the like, I don't think nothing would change my mind for them too.
I think it's because they're so vulnerable. You know what I mean? So it's you can kind of like empathize with them. Yeah. You know, like Spider-Man's like the young guy who wants to do right all the time, and he falls flat on his face, but he never gives up, and he keeps on going. You know, and Batman's kind of like the same thing. He comes like everything that he does comes from a place of hurt, but at the end, even though he has such a tough exterior, you know that he just genuinely loves humanity. He wants to do the right thing and make sure nobody goes through what he went through.
If you're gonna be checking out HBO Max, I don't know if you have checked it out yet, Josie. I told you about this, Egg. The new 52 comic book series. They made animated series of movies, based on that. The comic book series obviously goes in more depth, but the animated series are still good. It's one of my favorite series of movies. We watch. Me and Josiah. You mentioned The Longest Halloween. They actually came out with movies of that. Yeah. Part 1 and Part 2.
Yeah,
they're actually really good. I don't know if you've seen those.
Nice. Man, 52. Yeah. Okay. Okay. That just really jogged my memory.
Yeah,
That was a great. That whole
I,
thing. That was great.
that's my favorite
I love
series.
the whole Lantern. Yeah, I've never been a big Green Lantern fan,
Yeah,
but I
same
don't
here.
dislike him. But the whole story of the
Mhm.
different lanterns and the different rings and the blue, and whatever. That was really cool. That was really cool. I have that whole series. If you ever want to read it, that was just a great.
The
It's a great
Darkest Night,
series.
right?
So,
I think that's what it's
yep.
called.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I yeah, New 52 I would say is my favorite comic book series in general. I love the storylines. I love every one of the characters and the villains. Um, but my favorite comic book I would have to throw in there the Quarter Owl series with Batman. Batman Quarter Owl.
Oh yeah,
That's up
yeah.
there
That
for
was
me.
really good.
So
That was really good.
I'm
Yeah,
actually rereading
that's
that
good.
series now, and on top of that, Batman White Knight, those two. So
I need to go through my comics now. So when we meet next week, I can go more in depth of things I need to go through and review them. So
yeah, this was
yeah,
this was
I
awesome.
got way too many.
We appreciate you joining us today.
Yeah, this was this was
Yeah,
this was
guys.
Yeah.
this was. I mean, this was so good, man. This is like probably one of my favorite things that we've done so far on the podcast. You know.
Awesome. No,
Um,
man, it was my
awesome special
pleasure.
guest.
Yeah, if you guys want to do a part two, I am more than willing next weekend
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
jump on
I
and
know. I'm definitely down.
Saturday.
Next week, Saturday again.
that sounds
Here
good.
we go. Saturday. It's a plan. It's a date.
Nice.
Alright.
Oh man,
Well,
this has been
um,
great, guys.
we're just gonna finish up the podcast. We have a couple other things to talk about. Like I know you haven't seen Hawkeye yet, so we're gonna probably talk about that a little bit,
Yeah, so I'll
and
jump off
a
because I
little
don't,
bit
I
of
don't want to hear about
Young
that.
Justice.
You're gonna like the show if when you finally sit down to watch it. I mean, I don't know if you watched any of the other Disney Plus series, but I think personally
Yeah,
it's the best one that they've done so far.
I have to agree.
nice.
Yeah,
Okay, because I Loki was really good, so I'm
Loki
excited
Loki
about
is, man, but I personally think like they outdid themselves with Hawkeye.
this is. Yeah, the only thing I've seen is just from the girl who's seeing from her window the scene of Hawkeye in the
very
first
beginning,
Avengers
yeah.
movie.
keep
Yeah,
it.
so that's all I've seen, and I'm like, what a cool way to shoot that, to see
Yeah.
what people were actually seeing while this was happening. I thought that was so good. So
Yeah.
okay, yeah. Well, I don't want to hold you guys up.
No,
I will
no
see you
worries.
next week. I'll let you
Yep.
get on with your.
I appreciate
with your
it.
thing.
Yo, guys, we're back. It's E and J coming off of our. Thank you so much, Chozy, for joining us on today's episode. It was more than what me and Josiah thought, man. It was such a great conversation, and he was so knowledgeable, man. It was probably, like I said, one of the coolest things we've done on the podcast. Hey, what do you think?
Yep, I have to agree. I know I'm looking forward to part 2 with him. How
Yeah.
you?
Me too. We
Yeah.
we went a little pause here. If you guys notice, our video kind of cut out, and we're having some technical difficulties. But me and Josiah did want to talk about the Hawkeye episode that came out this week, which, like I mentioned on the interview section of our podcast, Hawkeye has been my favorite. I think my favorite MCU show so far.
I have to agree with you. I definitely been enjoying it as well myself. I feel like the dynamic duo between the chemistry between the both main characters are really well, and I think both of them, obviously Clint Barton is the actor, he does well as Clint Barton, and Hawkeye, and Haley Steinfeld is doing well as Kate Bishop. So I definitely have to give both of them credit towards that. So we had episode 4?
4, yeah. You know what's
Episode
crazy?
4 this week.
We have 2 episodes left, man.
Yeah, that's crazy to me. I feel like they're gonna have to make a season 2 or something. It has to be something.
I don't see how they don't. I mean, I don't know.
This show's getting a lot of love, so maybe not a season 2 where like Clint Barton's in it or whatever, but maybe we get Haley Steinfeld still playing Kate Bishop
Or
for
full
season
movie.
2,
That'd be
or
pretty
for a
cool.
movie, her own series, or joining as a cameo on another series, or another movie. But I do have to say, episode 4, we got a little interesting episode. We got a lot that we've seen. All in all, what's your thoughts on episode 4, Egg? Like, how do you feel towards the episode?
Oh, the episode was really good. Do you remember? And at the end of episode 3 ended with what's his name? Jack having Ronan's sword to Hawkeye's throat.
Yep.
You know, and then this episode kind of starts off the same way, but they kind of have like the whole little funny thing, you know, where they're all sitting down at the table having a conversation. Hawkeye gets his sword back, Ronan's sword, which I thought was gonna be a lot more difficult, but he just outright steals it. Which Jack stole it, so he's just taking back what's his, right?
Yep.
And the whole plot of the episode is pretty much him trying to get that watch that they mentioned in the first episode. And so, a quick recap: they go find the watch, they track the watch, and it's in Echo's apartment. And then from there, Hawkeye gets attacked by a masked warrior, and Kate has to fight Echo. And then we come to find out that the masked warrior is Yelena Belova, who was Natasha Romanoff's sister in the Black Widow movie, which is crazy, right?
Yeah. So I kind of figured she was gonna come out. I
Me
didn't
too.
expect her to come out on episode 4 and like that. So it was pretty cool to see her come out and see her fighting techniques as it was like in the movies. I definitely think, my opinion is, she's gonna end up getting episode 5. She's gonna end up almost killing Clint, and then realizing like she has to help him. Like he tells her the full story, what happened, what really happened, blah 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 blah. And I think it's gonna be a little like, okay, how can I help you? Ordeal. Like I think she's gonna be part of helping him. Or my second theory is she's gonna see that they were also fighting Echo, and she's gonna go and help Echo fight Clint.
You think so?
I don't know. That's just another theory I thought I'd throw out there.
I think that the next episode they're gonna, because they did find out that Jack was behind the whole tracksuit mafia thing.
Mm-hmm.
He's tied to them, so I think they're gonna go with Clint, because you saw he was kind of having Natasha flashbacks. There was that one scene where Kate was falling and he went to grab her, and he's saw Natasha, and he was kind of like, you need to go home, you need to get out of here.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to lose somebody close to him, which I think is like kind of like I think the show's done a really good job of showing, giving us a lot more of an emotional depth to Hawkeye.
Yeah. I feel like he was such an, like, don't get me wrong, Hawkeye is an awesome character, but I think compared to like being a part of the Avengers movies and stuff, he was such a like second role character. Not really,
he was like a role player. He wasn't the main guy,
Yeah, like he was like almost a filler character for the Avengers. But now seeing that his own like quote unquote origin of just him,
Mm-hmm.
he's awesome. He's like I love the depth. I love that he's such a family man, and that he would do anything to help someone. He can't let someone die. Even like gave up his time with his kids to be able to just help someone that he barely doesn't even know. Like,
Yeah.
he could have just left it alone. They didn't even think Hawkeye was Ronin, like, but to make sure she didn't get injured for something he did, he sacrificed his time with his family. I thought that was pretty cool.
You know what's crazy about all that? You mentioned that, and you saw that they have all the information on him. You saw that Echo was writing down all his names and stuff like that.
Yeah, his family and all that.
So I wonder if it's somehow gonna get back to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe he's gonna put like send Kate to go help protect their family. I don't know.
Well, the episode kind of ended bad. Remember, because he kind of yelled at her. He was like, "You're not my partner. You're
Yeah,
you need to go home. Like, we're done."
yeah. I don't know. It can go any way.
She saved him from Echo though, because you saw she put 2 arrows in Echo's shoulder, and
Yeah,
she pretty much let Echo know, like, "Yo, like, you really want to try this? Like, I'll put another one in you." And Echo just ran away.
I love
And
the fact that
she stopped Yelena too from fighting Clint.
I love the fact that like even though like she had a little bit of training growing up, it's nothing compared to like actual training. And I love the fact that when hand to hand combat, she was losing against Echo mostly. Like she was getting dogged. But then when she pulled out the bow and like you said, shot the 2 arrows, I was like, you know what? She can do something with the bow. Like, but I think definitely she's gonna need some training and stuff. And I think that's what the episode's gonna end up leading to, where either Clint's gonna take her under the wing, or maybe Elena takes her under
Yelena.
the yeah, well, I can't pronounce it.
That's fine.
Takes her under the wing.
We'll call her Baby Widow.
No, I'm not saying that. Takes her under the wing. Like, I think she just needs more training, and she's good. I think she's gonna be taking over the mantle of Hawkeye for sure. And
Well,
Young Avengers.
I think something's gonna happen. I mean, I still stand by the whole
He loses
Clint is gonna lose something big.
Well,
I think so. I think so.
Yeah. What happens if he loses a kid
That'd be terrible.
or his wife and
That'd
he's
be
a
horrible,
single
too.
dad?
I'd really
I
for
feel
him.
like it's leading up to something with his family because they keep showing his family in every episode, either on the phone or something is gonna be with his family.
I feel like he deserves his happiness. You know what I mean? He's already put in his time.
I think I agree, but you know how Marvel is with the sacrifices with things. So I think I don't know. I feel like he's gonna end up losing his wife. I don't think he was gonna lose any of his kids. I think he's gonna just be a single dad, but it's gonna be like quote unquote an eye for an eye. He took Echo's dad, so
Maybe Echo takes him.
he
I don't think so, man. I don't think it'll be Echo, man, because she's rumored to have her own show coming out,
Yeah,
and I don't want to watch a show about somebody that I hate because they killed an Avenger.
this is true. I feel like she's gonna end up forgiving Clint, but I feel like unless Jack attacks his family.
I could
So
see
it's
I
Master.
could see that being Jack.
But I feel like Echo. I feel like Echo's gonna become good because she doesn't seem like she could have killed them any time right then and there when she had them all tied up,
And she didn't.
and she didn't.
Jay, you know,
I think she's just trying to figure out like what's really going on.
I want to give you credit for something, man. I'm starting to see the way you see it. I do think that the mom knows more than she's letting on. She's mad sus.
Sus. She's very sus.
Very sus.
Like I feel like she might not be like, she might be bad, but not in bad. Like I feel like she did end up killing her late husband.
You think so?
I think she killed her late husband. I think she had something to do with her late husband, and I think she's gotta kill Jack for something.
No, I don't think she's gonna kill Jack, but I do think she has. I do think that she has.
I think she killed her late husband though, for sure.
And I you know what? And I think she killed the old man.
And I think she killed the old man too.
I do think that. I do have a feeling because he threatened her, and he's like, "Oh, you're gonna threaten me?"
Yeah.
She's like, "You're gonna threaten me? I'm gonna teach you something."
I think she killed Jack. I think she killed not her Jack. I think she killed her late husband because her late husband knew something that she was involved in, and they threatened like Kate. So to protect Kate, she sacrificed her late husband, and then that's when, because for some reason when Kate was young and screaming out for help, she took a while to show up, and her husband didn't even show up.
That's true.
She took a while to show up, and her husband didn't even show up. And if you saw how close Kate was with her dad, if her dad's hearing like, sorry, that was me.
No,
Her dad's hearing.
I set you up for that.
You really did. You handed it to me in my hand. If her dad was hearing his daughter scream, you don't think he's gonna run and rush over to her? Because the building didn't collapse until the mom came and saved her. Like,
You know what's crazy is that I do agree with you. I think that I have a feeling that she's one of those people that she has a problem, she solves it by any means.
yeah, and I think she was already involved into something before, and then that's why she lost. That's why she sacrificed her late husband to keep, like, because she had to keep him silent. He found out he was gonna take them to the police, and she had to keep it silent. And now she's trying to protect Kate from the same thing because she did that to her late husband. Like, she's trying to protect her because she's investigating more, and she keeps telling her, stop. And you saw how she talked to Hawkeye. Like, don't get my daughter into stuff.
And she mentioned Natasha. You saw she mentioned Natasha?
Yeah. So, like, I think there's something more there. Like, it's very sus.
Yeah. No, I agree. I didn't see it before until this episode. I'm like, man, you know what? She knows more than what she lets on.
Unless she knows Jack's bad and she just accepted it, like, and she's just trying to, like, pretend like she doesn't know something.
And you know what, man? Maybe Jack isn't bad. Maybe he's just dumb.
Yeah.
And she's setting him up.
Yeah, you see, that's the thing. The show can go either way. I'm looking forward to the next 2 episodes for sure.
Yeah, me too, man. I think this, like I said, is one of the best shows on TV. I wish that Chosy was watching it. You know what I mean? Because he said that he kind of sees a lot how things are gonna play out, and I wish he was watching this so that we could tell him to spoil the next 2 episodes for us, right?
Yeah, I know, and he said Hawkeye is one of his favorite series, but I have to agree with Chosy on the interview where he said like waiting 1 week for an episode.
It's terrible, man.
I think Hawkeye is gonna definitely be a show that I'm gonna have to definitely check out again and rewatch when all the episodes are released.
I feel like that too. I've been wanting to do that with Loki, and I've been wanting to do that again with the WandaVision and the other ones. Yes, I set you up badly for that.
And
I've been wanting
with my ADHD. When you hand me something, I'm gonna play with it.
Yeah, I knew I was gonna mess you up when I did that.
It really did because I started playing with it. You suck. If you guys don't know, I have a GoPro clamp, and I keep unclamping it, unclamping it.
I gave it to him because I knew it was on the Mr. side.
It was literally on the far end of the table, and then he decided to put it on my side. And then I picked it up and started playing with it.
I don't know what you're talking about. Just
you see, you always set me up for failure. But no, all in all, looking forward to the next 2 episodes. This week, just to let you guys know, due to time and the interview with Chosy and everything, we got to skip Young Justice. This week's episode was anyways kind of a filler.
Just I was trying to skip it, and I was like, Jay, bro, you got to talk about it. And
the interview went longer than we expected.
Man. But yeah, but honestly, man, it was so good.
It was awesome, though.
It was great,
awesome.
Man.
So I don't mind sacrificing it, but next week I'm bringing you guys more info. I'll probably be talking about the last 2 episodes of Young Justice
and No Way Home.
We got our tickets
Friday morning. Me and Josiah are in there, so
yeah. Don't if you see us, just say hi. Yeah. Don't ruin the movie for us.
Yeah, and if you don't want to be spoiled, then
Saturday's episode we will put spoiler warnings up, and we will let you guys know if we're gonna spoil anything.
And yeah, and I would avoid probably like the first 20 or 30 minutes of the show. So
yeah. But we definitely will tell you when the spoiler warnings are, and we'll definitely tell you when the interview part 2 with Chosy is gonna be, because I think we're gonna do it next week, same time. The interview with Chosy. Yeah. I really enjoyed having him on. Big up, Chosy. Thank you for your help for this week's episode.
Man. Thanks.
We definitely look forward to having you on future episodes, and we definitely want to see a collection of comics. I'm probably gonna stop by your house soon just to see that collection.
Yeah, get pictures, Jay. Get pictures first.
I'll get a picture, and then I'll probably post it on our Instagram or something. But all in all, Egg, thank you for joining me for another episode. We're on
Jay,
26 episodes.
26 episodes deep. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. Jay and I will be back next week. Same channel, same place, same time. And Chosy will be with us too.
Yep.
So if you guys want to watch part 2 of that, definitely tune in. And No Way Home and Young Justice, all of that coming at you guys next week. So stay safe, guys. And Hawkeye, yeah. So take it easy. Enjoy the rest of your week. And we'll see you guys. Jay and E signing out.
Catch you guys later.